is up, everybody? Man, that intro gets me hype. What is going on? How's everybody doing tonight? Hope y'all are having a good night. Y'all all say what's going on in the chat so I know you're there. Tonight we have Stephen Pecore and his wife Allison Pecore from Bourbon Ball Pythons. And just a minute, I'm going to get them on here and we're going to have some cold-blooded talks. How's it going, April? Stephen has been a good friend to me. We've had a lot of interactions from, talking about pairings and shows, and he's given me a bunch of advice. So I definitely wanted to get him on here early and see what he had to say. What's going on, Cody? Let's get Allison and Steve on here. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Y'all having a good night?
We are.
Yeah.
Good. Cuddle time critters.
So I wouldn't doze off on you when it hits 9 o'clock here. So
Nice. Can y'all see the comments?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because there's going to be some people that may ask questions, and just wanted to make sure you be able to see them as well. What's going on, Zachary? Sarah Page, how you doing? Cuddle time critters, how's it going? So, I say that you're having a banger season, man.
I mean, it's not quite the season that we had hoped for coming out of last year, but we got nothing to complain about. It's been pretty good.
I got you.
Knock on wood, we haven't seen a slug. We haven't seen one single slug all year. So
really,
that's good.
Speaking of slugs, do you run a nice ambient as far as like around 80 or
78, 79?
Okay, and then what as far as hotspot goes?
Our hotspots are running around 90.
90. Okay. Yeah. Is that a shirt you got there? Is that Troy?
Yeah, that's Troy.
Thousand Strikes. Nice. So what clutch are you at right now as far as count wise?
We gotta look. We've hatched 10.
There's 12.
We got 2 more in the incubator. So
okay. Nice.
I really think, I mean, we had 23 last year, and I think this is going to be like a 15, 16 clutch year.
Nice.
So, like I said, it's not what we hoped for because we got some young girls that we're helping be breeding this year, and they're just not. So
the bigger girls taking the year off.
Yeah.
How's it going, Andrew? He said he bought a VPI Xantic from you this past Sunday.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Andrew Jones. Yeah.
Yep,
he's got a Xantic clown as his thumbnail there. That's a nice combo. Very nice. Are you all working a Xantic in the clown at all?
One of the girls that I'm not sure if she's going to go or not, we were working. Okay. So she's a pinstripe Xantic, and we've got her going to our what is he? He's pastel vanilla leopard blade clown.
Okay.
So just trying to make some double heads with some jeans in there.
Gotta make the hits, man.
Yeah, but
way to go.
I mean, she may not go. So
yeah,
but she's gone the last couple of years, so she's due a year off anyways, and she's I guess going to take it.
Is she eating or off food? Cool.
Oh yeah, she's eating anything we put in front of her.
Okay. Yeah.
But she's late in July the last couple of years, and she's still pounding food. So I mean, maybe she'll go late, but she's off schedule at least.
Yeah. So that brings up a question that I'd like to ask you. Do you still offer your females food after the point of them saying, I don't want food anymore. I'm building. I am wanting to go off food and worry about building follicles. Do you still offer food?
No.
At what point do you say, I need to start offering her food back?
I mean, generally until we see an ovulation, we'll continue offering food.
Yeah.
Allison's been doing a lot of the feeding lately, but
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you pretty involved with all the snakes and hatchling and everything, Allison?
Yeah, I do.
It's at least 50-50.
Yeah, I
do.
That's
sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she's been doing a lot of the feeding, but I think once we see them ovulate, I mean, we're working on transitioning to frozen thawed so that we can not breed as many rats. We'd like to get away from that a little.
No kidding,
man. So I think part of it too is when she's gone off food and she's got big follicles and we know that she's close, because we feed live, we'll stop offering, because I think even sometimes just tossing that rat in there for 5 minutes and closing that tub, can be a little stressful for them. So we just try and avoid that. If we know that they're, past the point of no return and they're not going to eat anymore, there's just no reason to even throw that rat in there.
Right.
I mean, it's
definitely understand that, man. I don't know, man. I've had some that have went off food, and I have a tendency to be kind of sporadic with it. It's definitely not every week. It's like the Super Mojave we were talking about backstage. She had 2 weeks there where she didn't eat, and I said, okay, boom, this is right on cue. She started cooling. She's dunking her head in the water bowl, bowl wrapping, and she's starting to build, and there's no point in offering her food anymore because this is the process of how it goes. But every ball python, every snake is an individual, so we can't generalize how we treat them all, and say that if they're all food, then they're definitely building. If they're eating, then they're not building. That's not the case. I know people who've had snakes, ball pythons, and specifically that have eaten all the way up until the point that they laid. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of it ever again before, besides that guy. But the snake actually pooped whenever she laid the eggs. But about every 3 weeks is what I do. Yeah, it's about every 3 weeks is what I do, and that's how I had that Super Mojave go back on food. I mean, she was never really off food. I guess she just didn't want to eat for that time.
Yeah, they are all. I mean, our very first year, we went out and we bought a big albino girl off of someone. She's our biggest snake. I mean, she's like, I don't know, she'll run 4,300 grams.
I think when I was there back a couple months ago, you showed her to me. Yeah, she's massive. She is massive.
She's the sweetest.
But we picked her up. And this was when we were just starting, and we didn't know a whole lot. And he said that she was gravid, and he didn't know what the heck was going on either. So, then we had that girl. We picked her up in February. She never ate a single meal for us, and then laid 12 eggs in August. I mean, without ever eating a single meal.
Wow.
And then would eat anything that was anywhere close to food or near her. But yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they are all different. I mean, she was obviously building.
Right.
But she wasn't interested in eating. She, I guess, had all the reserves she needed, and she just did her thing, and laid her eggs, and then hadn't stopped eating since, pretty much. But
right. All right, let me catch up on some comments real quick. Hey, how's it going, Kimberly? GP Snakes in the house. He's got a question for you and says, do you give your girls every other year off?
No, I mean, it's like we were talking about when they're ready for a year off. I mean, we've only been breeding 3 seasons, but my understanding from listening to what other people have been doing a long time say is they're not like people. It's not like you're going to breed them.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they're in control, and when they're ready for a year off, they're going to take a year off.
Yeah.
I think the one exception, if we ever had a girl lay a really bad clutch or something, we might consider giving her a year off if there was no reason behind it.
Right.
Maybe then we'd give her a year off, but generally, no. I mean, we let them do their thing, and if it's just like this year. I mean, we're going to be down 50% from what we did last year, and that's just because they're doing what they want to do.
Right.
We're not in control of this thing as much as people want to think they are.
Yeah,
we're not in control of it.
I definitely think that you have to be in tune with your snake, and what I mean by that is you have to pay attention to them and listen to them. Although they cannot physically talk to us, they will tell you everything that you need to know. Yeah. And body condition is key when it comes to breeding. I see a comment here. I can't tell who you are, and if you'll go back to Facebook, when you click the live, you'll see above there, you'll see a comment or a note that says to click on the StreamYard little comment where you can actually have your name up there. I'll be able to see who you are, but right now it just says Facebook user. They asked what weight you prefer to breed at, and this is a controversial topic because I don't believe that it's about weight, but it's not about weight. Really, it's about body condition. Because I had a female last year that was 1,200 grams at the start of September, October, where most people may start to breed. Some people don't breed until November, and from the moment that she started building follicles, I never paired her, but she started building follicles, and it was almost like she retained more of the rat than she normally would the rest of the year. The poops were smaller, and she started to gain more weight, and she got up to like 1,600 grams by the end of November, December, and she had been paired twice at that point. And by the time she laid, she was almost 1,800 grams. And I mean, she was little bit over 1,200 grams after laying. She was a small clutch, 5 eggs or something like that, 6 eggs at the most. But it was, if I would have went by that, they have to be 1,500 grams to pair, then she would have, I don't know, she may have done the Partho clutch or whatever, but at that point I felt like she was good to pair. Do you all go by a weight, or do you really kind of look at the snake and see body condition and or is it a combination of the two? Because that's kind of where I'm at with what I when I say okay, they're ready.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a combination of all of the factors. I mean, if they're pounding rats and weigh 1,200 grams in the fall and are pounding rats, then we know by the time they lay, they're going to get there. Like they're going to put on enough weight. Like they're obviously trying to gain weight in our building and whatever. So
for sure. I mean, we'll I don't know. We may catch grief for it, but I mean, we generally, if they're doing the right things and they're eating and they're acting like they want to breed and they're, you know how they are. I mean, you can tell by the way that they feed if they're not, right? So they've broken through that 1,000-gram wall if there was one, and they're eating and they're on food and they're on point when we open that tub, then we're going to start pairing them at 1,200 grams. But if we start pairing them at 1,200 grams and they don't lay eggs, if they got 3-4 months where they lay a clutch, they're going to be 1,700-1,800 grams if they're eating the way that a female's going to eat, when she wants to breed.
Absolutely.
We had a girl last year that probably, we started pairing her around 1,100 grams, and she didn't get over 1,500 even gravid. And then she laid 8 eggs and weighed 970 grams or something after laying 8 eggs. But, we had 8 perfectly healthy babies. She's doing well. She's right back on food.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. And that's, it's the same thing we said before. They're in control. And they're not ready to go, or they don't want to go. They're not going to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do what they like. We're just here, along for the ride. So
absolutely. What's going on, Ross? Norel, how's it going? Ross says, good explanation. Allison and Steve, question for both of you. What exactly is gravid and how do you tell?
Yeah, gravid is essentially the equivalent of pregnant.
Yep.
We got a girl here. It's gravid.
Yeah,
you can see it. It might be harder to see on camera, but
most of the time you can really see those eggs, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No doubt about it.
You just see, and when they're building, they'll have a bulge more central here. But once they ovulate and they're gravid, that bulge moves all the way down here.
If you turn, you can almost see like the bumps of the different eggs. And as you hold her up, they'll just drop down. Like gravity, it's not a stomach bulge, it's an egg bulge. So gravity's going to pull them down.
Yeah.
If she had legs, she'd be waddling.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, that doesn't
just like.
Yeah. I've had a couple females that it almost looks like they were in ovulation for like 2 weeks. And I come in and I'm like, I take a picture and I'm like, oh, here's my ovulation picture. I take the picture and then I lift up the tail, no tail suck. And I'm like, but you look like you swallowed a football. And that's what they say. When they swallow, they look like they swallowed a football. That's the ovulation. But it's the pre-ovulation build, or that build stage. And typically what I've found, those females that look like that for a week or 2 weeks, they lay huge clutches. Do y'all agree with that? Have y'all noticed that when you get those 9, 10 egg clutches, 11 egg clutches?
Yeah. I guess we just not paid that close attention to that.
Yeah.
Now that girl laid 13 last time she laid, so we know that she lays.
Really?
So,
what is she?
She is a Lesser Mojave bell.
So is that a bell cut clutch you're making there? Is that a bell clutch you're making?
She was bred to a Mystic Potion, so we'll have all Mystic Potions
nice.
And Blue Eyed Lucy's essentially.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going after the Mystic Potion hypos. Mike Kano has got me and fallen in love with those. He's got some.
We both love Mystic Potions.
Yeah. So I got a comment here from Gary Reffett. He said, "You all stole my breeder name." Just kidding.
Yeah.
He thought of Bourbon Ball Python, so he looked it up, and you already have it. Loves the name. Speaking of the name, let's speak on that.
We can negotiate.
That name is killer, man. I love it. I love the branding. I love the logo. How did you all come to that? I want to hear some backstory on that.
I don't know. We couldn't think of, we were having trouble really come up with a lot.
Really kind of thinking of like just play on words with, the ball pythons, and then being in Kentucky. I mean, you're in bourbon country here. So we just kind of played around with it, and I don't know, it just stuck. So
I got a little overexcited, and I kind of walked that name down before.
They were still doing the running.
Yeah.
Man. I got a little over anxious.
Yeah, the names will absolutely sometimes just put people at a standstill. And I've had friends that have wanted to get into the hobby and breeding and this and that. And, I tell them, I was like, don't rush in picking a silly name that you're not going to like and you're not going to be excited to talk about and all that stuff, kind of just you develop yourself, and it doesn't matter if you launch all your branding and all yourself a year in. That doesn't matter. But I would say to put your name out there and to put pictures out and to put content out so people know what you have, so you're not trying to sell babies and then be like, who is this person? People will straight up go to a group and be like, has anybody ever heard of this person? And if somebody else in that group whose Facebook police can't go and search your name and find something, they're going to call you a scammer. It is what it is, so it's always good to have had your name out there, even if you don't have a name behind it. And it's funny because you all have a great name, and I love the branding. Like I said, I love the logo. I had a similar, I wanted to have the, home Kentucky theme, and my name was going to be Bluegrass Ball Pythons. And why I went away from that was because I felt like I've been in, how we are. Are you all, I know you live up there, but are you Louisville fans?
I graduated from Louisville.
So I have a lot of Louisville friends, and it's always UK versus Louisville, this and that, So I just kind of didn't want that. Somebody saying, I don't like UK, I'm a Duke fan, I don't like Kentucky in general. So they don't want to kind of, whether it's a collab with me or, even Acquired by a Snake or whatever the case may be, I didn't want to have that centralized banding in my name. So when I thought about that made me think about unity and what someone would feel included in if they didn't even know me, and everybody that's in the ball python game is working towards morphs or some blend of morphs, multiple morphs, stacking genes. And that's how I came to Morph Nation. And when I came up with it, I had cold chills. So it stuck, and that was the one for me.
I like it. It's simple too.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you. I
do. It's I don't know if you've ever heard Justin Kabilka talk about. He originally was like Smoky Mountain Pythons or something.
Yeah.
And he says it's the best thing he did is get away from all that and the fancy name and whatever, and just be Justin Kabilka Reptiles.
Yeah. I definitely like the simplistic logo that he can put up, and that's Justin Kabilka, right? And that's kind of where I went with the snake as the M. I want eventually to be known enough for my logo that I can put the M up, just like I have right here, just that M, and then oh, that's Morph Nation Reptiles.
Oh, that's just like Will Moroza's now RCR.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
He's gotten away from Royal Canadian and just gone straight RCR.
Yeah.
But it took him a while to get there too.
Yep. And I think, if you didn't have your names around your logo with the bourbon and bottle, man, even if that was kind of like a blackout cutout type of thing, like a shadow deal, like people, especially locally. I mean, I talked to a lot of people, and two people, there's a handful of people, between you, Rob from K-Rock Constrictors, Mike Kano, people know you guys, you know what I mean? So you're definitely putting down some good quality animals, and people are respecting what you're doing. So
I think it's just important taking what you're doing and putting it out there that people know who you are, right? For
sure.
So absolutely. I had someone, we've got someone who's been talking about buying snakes from us, and I think it's a younger kid who's just been communicating through Morph Market. He's been asking all these questions about incubation and this and that. And then, this weekend sent a message that, well, my mom's just concerned that, that I wouldn't be able to sell snakes and that no one would buy them. And And, you know, it's one of those things. It's like I haven't really responded because we were busy doing the show, busy selling snakes on Sunday, too busy to respond. But, you know, in my experience, there are people who have trouble selling their snakes, but I think it's because they just don't put themselves out there and people don't know who they are. And we're not big like live stream people and doing that, but we like doing the shows and meeting people that way. You know, and other than that, we just try and consistently post to our Instagram, you know, what we're doing, what we have, what we're working with. And that's all it really takes. You know, like you said, that gives people a level of comfort when dealing with you. You know, number one, that you're legit. Number two, just that you've been around for a little while, that you know what you're doing. You're going to be there if they need something in the future. You know, and I just, that's really all there is to it. You know, you don't have to like tattoo your logo on your ass and streak on the, you know, across the 50-yard line at the,
please don't.
at the Super Bowl. You know, it's pretty simple. And some people like do stuff like you're doing and are better at putting themselves out there a little more. But I mean, we're not really big, like put ourselves out there people, but just doing shows consistently and just posting on Instagram consistently. And yeah, I mean, I feel like we know a lot of people in this industry now, and especially in the local area. And that's just because we've done that, and it makes a difference.
Yeah.
You know?
You all are definitely in a good area as far as shows goes and stuff like that. You know, I feel like there's a bunch of people, especially on our local page, that are right in your area.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Am I lagging a little at all for you all?
What's that?
Am I lagging at all for you all? No.
Are
Okay.
we lagging?
No, I had kind of seen my face skip a little bit, but I was kind of doing some stuff over here to the side too while you all were talking. And I think that was kind of affecting it. I apologize about that.
Oh no.
But yes, man, you are completely correct. You are completely correct. I have my first question I want to get to before we will get off on tangents, and we will be here for 3 hours. I trust you. I am a talker. Okay. We have, how did you, or what got you started in the reptile keeping hobby? Before you answer that, do you only keep ball pythons, or do you have other?
We got one king snake,
and we have crested geckos.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had our first, just kind of little side project. Have a few cresties we're breeding. Have had our first few start to hatch in the last like month or so. So that's kind of fun.
Sweet.
We've had other reptiles, but that's all we have right now.
We had a really nice dwarf reticulated python, but she came down with an enlarged heart and passed. So, but I do think we're going to replace her this year with probably like a pure locality super dwarf or something.
Yeah.
But that's really it. We're not like, we got friends who like to have everything under the sun. So if we want to play with a tortoise or something, we can check theirs out.
Right.
And we don't keep. No, we don't keep any other snakes. The corn snake is a snake of contention. Or the king snake is a snake of contention around here anyway. So I'm not a snake person. Just put that out there. Our oldest son, how we got into this, wanted a snake. He'd been asking since he was a little boy. We bribed him with bearded dragons and geckos and whatever, because over my dead body was a snake going to be in our house. As I sit in a room full of 100.
So you were completely against snakes. How long ago was this?
This was
December of 2018. So
yeah, so 2.5 years ago, and
that's really.
It was the Christmas he was getting ready to turn 16 that next month, and he really wanted one, and he kind of just wasn't excited about much in life, and he would watch video after video after video, and seemed really fired up about it, and really wanted a ball python. And I scoured Craigslist. It was that or a car, and I wasn't buying him a car. So like those were our options for Christmas.
Or a medical marijuana card. He would have been good with something like that.
Yeah, he would have liked that too. So I didn't have real good options for Santa. So, but I found a pied female and paid like $350 for from Craigslist, and thought it was the most insane amount of money anybody would ever spend on a stupid snake.
Man, I'm same way.
Yeah. And we were setting it up actually at my brother's house to hide it before Christmas morning. This was a couple weeks before. And Steve asked me to hold it while he set up the cage. And she's all balled up. And I hate snakes. And I don't hold snakes. I don't want anything to do with snakes. And I'm like, okay, she's starting to relax. Maybe we're okay. And just about that moment, she like struck at my face. I threw her. I'm screaming, lots of 4-letter words. I'm like, what have we done? Our daughter at the time, who was 14, said she was going to move out if we brought a snake in the house. And her birthday is February 2nd. And by the time her birthday rolled around, she wanted us to get her a snake for her birthday. And then we were going to have a couple and do it as a family hobby. And I don't know. I don't know what happened. This is what happened.
Yeah.
So
now it's like we need him to go to college so we can use his bedroom for another snake room. So.
The bug ran through fast. It ran.
Gosh, it's amazing how fast it does.
It does, man. It happens fast, and it's.
We built our first rack. Our first snake rack held 20 tubs. It was like we got 10 FB10s and 10 FB40s, and that was going to last us forever.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 weeks before, like, we need another rack. So.
Yeah.
Ross says that was a funny story and a great one at that.
It's the truth.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That stupid snake we got, she bit me within the first 10 seconds.
She was the meanest ball python ever.
Weighed 130 grams or something, and we were both. I mean, I remember just being terrified, holding the damn thing, not knowing what she was about to do to me. And
they get feisty at that age. How's it going, Claudio?
But now it doesn't bother me. I mean, they're feisty like that, and you just kind of look at them and you're like, whatever.
You're being annoying, whatever. Like,
I had a guy in here the other night, and he was bug-eyed over my boas. They're 2 females. They're about 7 foot, and he's like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Man, your fear is not really rationalized, man. It's these 2 girls here. I'm telling you, they will not bite you. The ball pythons, I don't trust as much, just to say that they will not bite you if I hand you them. But the bite is not as bad as the actual anticipation of getting bit. Your heart pumping out of your chest is what gets you. I tell them, I was like, man, just come over here and let one of these hatchlings bite you. I can get them to bite you because they are ready to eat all the time. Kimberly says, I can totally relate. I bought my husband a baby Brazilian rainbow boa 2 weeks ago. This is his first snake ever. Oh, it's the first snake I ever held, and I love him. Yes, it will run pretty soon. You'll be like, well, let's go to this reptile expo to look, and then next thing you know, you'll be bringing home a boa of your own or a ball python of your own. Yeah, and it runs fast.
When we first started out, and we bought up a couple of collections, and one collection we bought, I mean, she just had like 2 pastel head exantic males, anyways, much less 2. So we were buying these collections and just selling off, keeping what we wanted, which was a good chunk, mostly the females, and selling off what we didn't need. But one of the first snakes we bought was a woman who was buying it for her fiance.
Oh yeah.
She didn't want anything to do with it. He had a snake before, and it had passed away, and he was heartbroken, and she was getting it as a surprise. And, she kind of made arrangements with us and then brought him over and got him the snake. And, you take this little ball python home, and we saw him not 2 weeks later at the show, and he's like, I need a snake because that's now her snake. She had it. It was like in her bun and her hair, like hanging out. Yeah. And that's the way it goes. I mean, it's like you said, you get over the fear.
Yeah,
there's an irrational fear that we all have for whatever reason. A lot of us do, at least. Yeah. And once you kind of start to understand them a little, and understand, number one, that they couldn't possibly hurt you, even if they wanted to. Even the bigger ones are not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Startle you. Doesn't feel good, but they're not going to actually hurt you.
Can't, if they wanted to, have no reason to ever want to. So that's another thing.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people a lot of times is, there's a couple of things that go along with it. One, if you understand their moods and how they react and interact with the world, you can avoid getting bit pretty much every time. Okay. And I tell people this all the time when they come into my snake room and they see me grab a snake and they're just like, whoa, you just did that like it was just a regular Saturday. And I'm like, well, if I don't, I'm gonna build up anticipation, and then the snake's gonna be like, I dare you to grab me. and then we're going to be in a staring contest, and you don't win staring contests with snakes. Okay. Every time they will bite you, they'll tag you before you even think about moving. But if you're able to get them out of their enclosure and in their area of where they feel like they have to defend, where they're building follicles, they're nesting. I've been bitten 4 times, and 3 of those 4 times have all been from breeding females because I underestimated the fact that they did not want me in their tub. So that goes to show you. And I've had ball pythons since I was 19. I'm 31 now. So Zachary says he just wants to say big thanks to me for helping him out, giving him pointers on his snakes and explaining how to cut his first clutch. And I tell people this all the time. I am an open book. If I have any knowledge, you have the knowledge. All you have to do is ask. There's several people in here, BJ, Ross, all of them, at any point they have asked me questions and I've been able to help them out. And I can't take credit for those because I have went to people, like Allison and Steven and said, what's their take on this? And then I've went to Rob and I've went to Mike and I've went to all these different people. And I've kind of came up with my correlation of how I feel like I should do things. And then I pass those along to other people. And it's a never ending cycle of giving in the hobby. And that's kind of what this is all about, and being able to, interact and people be able to grow their knowledge. So, BJ asked, what's you all's take on hots? For me, it's a no.
Yeah.
A hard no.
No.
Yeah. I'll go out to Kentucky Reptile Zoo and see them there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't.
He can have them in his apartment, but not. No,
Yeah.
That's a hard no.
Yeah.
No desire.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who it's for. And I feel like, mostly it's a single guy who's crazy as hell and has little fear of dying. And that's just what I feel. I no way, man. I mean, I've not had any real accidents or anything with the non-venomous snakes, but I don't know. I just don't have the desire to even. I mean, the people who keep those, like, kudos to them, and that's awesome. And like you said, we'll go to the zoo and see them, the Kentucky Reptile Zoo, which I haven't been to, by the way. I got to go there.
That's awesome.
And that's about it. That's about as far as I go.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have 4 kids too. Like,
yeah.
Comes
Exactly.
down to our 8-year-old, brings his friend down to show him a snake, and they get tagged by a ball python. It's not going to feel good, but it's not going to hurt them. Like, I would never. I don't know.
Oh, we got people who don't want their kids in our basement anyways because we got ball pythons. So I can't imagine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. And I think too, what I see is, I think this is like getting a motorcycle when you're young. It's our tendency is you get comfortable with these things and then you push the envelope too, right? So yeah, it's not only people having the hots, but you see a lot of these people that have the hots are these younger guys that have venomous snakes, and next thing you know, they're now we're freehand and handling it without a hook and I just doing all this stuff that just unnecessary.
Yeah,
but
yeah, and I mean, for me also, like, as far as like telling people, like them asking me how I feel about it, I want to emphasize on how you can negatively impact what we're doing, right? And what they are trying to do is keeping a venomous snake, because they, this is America, go America, and you can do what you want to do, and if you want to keep this, you can keep it. But if you don't do it right and you get that and you rush into it and you're not properly set up, you're not prepared, and once something happens, you freak out one day and you drop it, the next thing is it's loose in your snake room, and then you can't find it, and now it's loose into the world, and then you're on the national TV because you live in Tennessee, North Carolina, and you had what do they call it, a zebra cobra, and it's loose. That's kind of how those things happen. And I'm not trying to point fingers at that guy. I don't know him. He could be a very responsible keeper, but I feel like there's a level of expertise that needs to come with that level of expertise that's needed. I mean, I know, like in Florida, you have to have 1,000 hours before you can have venomous snakes. I don't know if you all have any of the crazy guys that you look at, watch maybe some YouTube videos like Tyler Nolan. And no, okay.
No, I mean, I understand more of it. We don't really pay much attention to them.
Yeah, same here.
But I do watch the Kentucky Reptile Zoo. A lot of their stuff that pops up in my feed a lot, and You know,
Yeah.
they have one of the largest venomous collections in the world, and they do it for the right reason because they're making anti-venom and they're doing medical research and you know, and when they handle these snakes, they're careful all the time. You know, I mean, there's never any hot dogging or showing off. I mean, it's pure, it's business. You know, and they treat it like it's a business.
Exactly.
But it is a cool place. We went there before we liked snakes.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. You know, we took our 16-year-old who wanted the first snake. I mean, he might have been 8 or 9, 10 years old or something the first time we went there. Maybe a little older, but
no, because we didn't have Oliver, so it had to be 8 or younger. Like they were grade school, and they loved it. The 3 older kids.
Yeah, it's neat.
It's neat.
So April, as far as Facebook goes, you have to go to the Facebook post, and at the top you'll see something that says StreamYard. You have to let StreamYard use your name or something like that. I think that may be why he's having issues. She's saying that Marty's not able to comment. So you all have been keeping reptile snakes in general for about what, 8-9 years?
Us?
Yeah.
No, 2.5.
The ball python's 2.5. I mean, we got a bearded dragon or a African fat-tailed gecko, or like we'd have a reptile here or there, but not like keeping reptiles.
Yeah, we tried the bearded dragon. That probably was 8 or 9 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, he was like 6 maybe when he got the bearded dragon, and he's 18. So I mean, 6 or 7 because it was at the other house. Yeah. So a while.
We weren't really keeping reptiles. We could just kind of had this thing that we had to yell at the kids to feed periodically, and
the whole house smelled, you know, that kind of stuff.
But I mean, it was an act of love at the time. Yeah. I mean, he was cool, but
that beardy poop is unreal.
What's that?
The beardy poop is unreal.
Oh. Yeah, and he always did it on the rock, right under the heat lamps. Well, like right after you left the house in the morning, I'm sure. But so then when you walked in the front door, it had been baking under the heat lamp all day long, and your whole house smelled like hot beardy poop. It was
knew from the front porch.
Like, Spike pooped. Awesome.
Man, I've got Yankee. There's some people in here that will tell you I'm not lying. I got Yankee candles in here. Somebody's coming over. I light them things. See, I've got 2 bearded dragons over here. I try to keep their poop cleaned up, but every once in a while I'll come in and it'll just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I don't know what it is because they're adults, so they mainly eat greens. I guess it is the greens. I don't know, but they will fire up this room.
Yeah.
But thank God for ReptiChip, because if I didn't have or Cocoa Blocks, if I didn't have that and I had paper towel, I don't know how I wouldn't be able to do it. My wife would put a stop to it real quick because I wouldn't do it. I can't stand the smell of snake pee. I can deal with the beardy poop temporarily because I can clean it up quick enough and light a candle and we're good. But I tell you, man, you get a snake that pee on you, I got one out the other day. I don't know if Justin's in here, but my reticulated python, I've got one, amelanistic retic, and I got him out, and he did not want to come out and started peeing on the floor. Now I swear I could smell it on my pants leg when I went upstairs. Snake pee is awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those aren't the species that musk. I mean,
right. I've got a Burma. Don't the Burmese musk?
Well, I don't know.
He's not. Never done.
I mean, even a ball python. We have ball python pees on his show or something.
It's awful. And
it sticks with you for a little while.
It's always at the beginning of the show, so you get to stink the whole show like snake pee. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you all do shows quite often, or
when we have the snakes, we haven't been the last few months because we just had been sold out of everything. But we're kind of getting back to. We always do the Clarksville show.
Yeah.
You know, unless unless there's vacation or it's just tax season's too busy or something.
We're probably doing probably 9 to 10 months a year. Yeah,
we all try and always do that one. And then, you know, other than that, we like doing Lexington. We like doing Evansville.
We've done Indy a couple of
times.
We've
done Indy here and there. That's pretty much it. Yeah. But it gets exhausting. I mean, it's like you do too many of those, and it's every weekend. That's just a lot.
I see a lot of people who do it, and I don't know how they do, man. I would want it to stay and remain fun. And the moment that it feels like it's just too much and it's exhausting, it just wouldn't be fun.
Right.
You know? So I think that I'll be like, even at my peak of what I feel like I could do in a season, maybe 4 to 5 times a year, maybe 6 at most. But man, there's no way I could do 2 to 3 a month, at different places. I know people who drive 5-6 hours and go to these shows every weekend. It's insane.
Well, hit or miss. And that's the thing. It's not, that's great. If you're going to drive 5 or 6 hours and go to a show and you can sell $3 or $4 grand, that's okay. You can feel pretty good about that. But then you have the day where you sell 400, and you're wondering why you spend your whole weekend.
Exactly.
Doing whatever. So
we've just not had trouble like moving snakes with Facebook and Morph Market too, even with just kind of consistently doing the Clarksville show. Like we do the shows as much as anything to meet people and just have FaceTime with them and build relationships. But it's not like we have to have them to move the snakes. And
one thing that I think that you all have working for you is the fact that you all take great pictures. And I tell my friends who want to be or to get into selling snakes and having people interested in what they have. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it starts with great pictures. And when you can take a picture that looks like this, okay, and show off a nice Axanthic clutch. What do we got? Pastel Axanthic here. Anything else at play?
Not on that one.
So it's a pastel Axanthic to Axanthic?
It was pastel Axanthic genetic stripe.
Okay.
Regular. Just Axanthic.
This is nice. Nothing super fancy as far as like. What do you have?
An iPhone and a $60 photo tent from Amazon.
Exactly. I can imagine. Anybody has the capability of go out and be able to take a picture like this if you take the time and slow down and take advantage of a nice photo. And it speaks volume. Being able to take a nice photo and post it up, it speaks volume. There's a lot of people who like my stuff just because of some of the pictures that I post. You have to have stuff that people are interested in. And nobody's just going to spend money with you just because you take nice photos, but it makes a difference. I'll tell you, it definitely makes a difference. So what is your all-time favorite reptile to keep? Are y'all just head over heels over ball pythons? I said you got some crested geckos. Is that the new love?
Crested geckos are her thing. I like the ball pythons. I like how easy they are.
Yeah.
I like how much variety there is. I like that they're animals that we can show to other people who wouldn't necessarily be comfortable around snakes.
Yeah.
But unless they have like this really like overwhelming fear thing going on, you can generally, ease them into it. But as far as I really like the dwarf retic a lot. It was just different and cool.
Yeah, I like my retic a lot more than I thought I would. I knew that I would like him, but he's really incredible as far as handling goes, and people will, tell you that it's just a snake. But like when you handle a snake and you really like snakes, you kind of get a vibe from them, and it's next level for me with the retic. And the berm's the same way. And that's kind of what I have. I have one retic, one berm, and 5 boas, but I have a pair of Dumero boas and I breed those. I may breed my boas eventually, but I don't really care if they breed. Like these are fun. I have these so that I can handle these and play with them when I can't handle the ball pythons, right? Yeah. When I feel like if I do handle them, I could throw them off. Once they ovulate, they're gonna either lay slugs or lay eggs, but I try to make a whole vibe go on, and I don't want to throw them off of that vibe by handling them. So that's kind of what got me into the boas. But I definitely have to say the Dumeros boa or the retic is definitely my favorite. Are you all the dwarf boas? Is that like a locality thing that makes it dwarf, or is that just okay?
No, it's a locality. So they come from small islands where there aren't big prey items, and just over thousands of years they've just a pure super dwarf female. The smaller lineage, the smaller localities would be 6, 7, 8 feet long.
Oh, really? Full grown?
Under 3,000 grams, full grown.
Wow.
Breeding,
Wow.
So it's a chance to have a retic without having to deal with a 15 or 20 foot snake that weighs a couple hundred pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm out on that.
She's out on that. And, and even when you get into the morphs, I mean, they have to cross because the localities don't have the morph. So you get into the morphs, they have to cross them in. But even crossed in, females, a high quality female with super dwarf blood in her, might be 10, 11 feet long, full grown and breeding.
Really?
Which is a lot smaller. The difference between a 15-foot snake and an 11-foot snake is probably 60, 70 pounds.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean,
yeah, that's definitely why I got males in my berm and in my retic, because I want to have it on the smaller end, but I didn't want to cash out on a super dwarf because I did look at some of those. Jampea is what I seen the most of. But then
those
most of them
those aren't the smallest ones.
Okay.
Like the Karumpas, I think, are the smallest, and
right.
you got Kalatoas.
Yeah.
But the smaller you get, the pricier you get too. So.
Right. Is it the Karumpas or the Kalatoas that there's not very many of? Because I follow
the ones that Garrett just started breeding reptiles, and I think there have been 3 clutches in like the last 10 years or something produced.
Yeah, I follow him, and I know
5 adults in all the United States.
Yeah,
and he's managed to put together a couple of breeder females and a male. So
that's nice, man.
Yeah,
you definitely have to let me know whenever you get one. I'd like to see it. Are you going to get a baby and raise it up?
Yeah, it'll be a baby.
Juvenile. Okay. Yeah,
it'll be a baby, and it'd be cool to breed them, but those girls take like 4 to 5 years to get to breeding. Where they breed. So, but in the meantime, it'd be cool. They just got a lot of personality. They're neat little animals. You don't see a lot of them.
They got cool eyes, man. Retic eyes are like, they are unreal. I have a form of an albino, so a lot of people are like, I can't do the red eyes, but I like albino. I love the red eyes, even in the rats, man. Some people don't really fool with the rats too much.
Not like the red eyes. Do they bother you anymore?
Not with the snakes. I don't like the red-eyed rats, but like our big albino girl, she's like a house favorite. So that's probably what's helped with the red eyes. Like she is truly the sweetest, biggest snake. We get her out and hand her to kids all the time. Like she's just a great temperament. So I'm sure that that's probably helped me get over it.
Yeah.
She's one of my faves.
Yeah. I love albinos, man. They're really nice. The albino that is in the Cold-Blooded Talks thumbnail picture is a albino spider female that I caught a picture of, and I'm absolutely in love with that picture, and that is why I ended up putting it in the thumbnail. I've missed some comments here because we've been just talking it up, which that's all good. Gary says hog nose. I think that he may be referring back to
what our favorite reptile,
or it could be talking about venomous because he's a funny guy, and they're like that rear fang venomous.
Yeah.
KY Constrictors, what's going on, Rob?
Hey, Rob.
So I was about to say something, but I lost track of what I was going to say.
Rob broke my heart last night. He told me
what'd he do.
I got this snake. I'm hoping is Xanthic, and he said it wasn't Xanthic. So Rob and I aren't speaking right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not speaking to Rob then.
Let me see what you're talking about. If you don't care to show it off. He says lavender albino is the way to go.
I guess get both of them now.
You're not wrong, man. Lavender albino is very nice. I like
lavender albinos.
Yeah.
I like
Candinos though, man.
Yeah. Is that a leopard Candino that you showed me last time I was there?
Black pastel.
Black pastel. That thing is fire.
We've got some. We just hatched a bunch.
They are fire. So let's let me put you up here.
So this was another Xanthic clutch.
Come here. So there's this one.
The lighting's just not going to be real good
it's not going to be good. Put your flashlight on your phone, maybe. Hey, bud. It's like shadowed.
Yeah, we're just kind of not right under the light here either.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't matter. Rob's just.
He's just wrong. He's a party pooper.
So what was the pairing on that, or what do you think that it is?
So this was our pastel genetic stripe Xanthic male to a super pastel double het female.
Okay.
So and we got 2 genetic stripes here. This one is a pastel genetic stripe.
Well, wrong way.
Nice.
And look at this other one. It does have some yellows to it, but it's really washed out and white.
Oh, sorry.
The snake The snake changed.
It was on the keyboard and changed it. So if you can see, it's really like almost purpley and white.
Oh yeah.
But we've never hatched a genetic stripe before these either, so that's where we're kind of like, I don't know, could a super pastel genetic stripe just be that washed out? I mean, I don't think so, but
Or is it just the het? Like,
and of course, they've been out of the egg for like 24 hours. It's not like we can wait a week for them to shed to try and figure out what they are.
So was this the one back to the what you think is axanthic? Here in
That's
your hand,
the one I think is axanthic, and then see you can see how much more color this one has.
Oh yeah.
Next to it.
Now,
this one's super pastel, and this one's just pastel. So I don't know how much that's playing into it, also. But
got you. Now, are both or either the parents proved out axanthic?
Yeah, well, we got axanthics in the clutch, so yeah, they proved out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the male's visual, so.
Okay.
Yeah, this was her first year, but we got genetic stripes and axanthics.
But Rob was being a buzzkill yesterday, so.
Whatever.
He says that anything black pastel albino complex is a must for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of albino, can you tell me what is in this pairing right here to produce this? I see black pastel. That's fire.
So that was this guy.
I love that. Let me get that out of the way so we can see.
So this is our black pastel Nino.
Okay.
Male. He sired that clutch.
Nice.
And that was to our big albino girl. So those are all Candino or albino.
Very nice. Very nice. I'll put that back up there for y'all again. I love that black pastel and albino.
That's what.
Very nice.
No, they're nice. They're really nice.
Ross says we're talking that Egyptian talk. That breeder talk, man, it gets like that.
That Egyptian talk?
Yeah. So, roughly, or specifically, if you all know, I don't know my number because I don't keep up with how many hatchlings go in. I mean, I could count it right now and see as far as what my clutches are and numbers like that. But I know what I have in my breeder rack and what's staying here definitely number wise. But roughly or specifically, what your number is. How many reptiles do you keep? Let's say just ball pythons.
Ball pythons in our collection. We're like 85, 90.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more.
Probably pushing 100.
Okay. And that's with hatchlings?
100, 105. I don't know. We don't like to talk about our number.
Yeah. It makes you be like questioning your life decisions and stuff, you know.
I know, like you say it out loud,
people.
like, "Ooh, that's not what I."
So I have a question for you,
and that
Allison.
doesn't include like the hatchlings and stuff. So yeah,
Allison, I'd like to know this. How did the people at your job? Do you work?
Yes, I do.
How do they take this?
They're not on here, are they?
I don't know. I haven't seen anybody.
I have one person who knows.
Yeah.
And I've threatened her with her life to tell anyone else because I think they'd think I was crazy.
So you keep it hush hush. You keep it
hush
hush.
Church.
I work at a church too.
Okay.
So.
Funny story. I picked up my reticulated from a pastor at a church. So I mean, apparently it's not.
No, it's not like that. I mean, it's not like that kind of church at all. We say all the time we're like a church for non-churchy people. But I don't know. I've only been at the job since February too, and it's just one of those things that a lot of times people are like, "You do what?"
Yeah.
So I have a good friend there that I did like confess it to her, and she has I don't know, a few weeks ago has nonstop given me grief. Rode in my car to go to lunch one day. Are there snakes in here? I'm like, no, just the one venomous one I can't find, but you'll be all right.
Oh man, people kill me with it. They kill me with it. You know,
I think she was kidding, but
no, she was kidding. She was just giving me grief.
But even with the jokes, you know, it's like people don't joke about like that, like about dogs, you know, and it's serious. When it comes to dogs, you literally can be sent to the hospital. I can guarantee you there's not a ball python alive that can make you say, we need to go to the hospital right now. Your jaw is hanging off of your face. There's not a ball python, maybe a retic or a burn, but not a ball python.
I don't tell people outside my closest friends. I don't lie about it, but I just don't walk around with a big neon sign. Hey, I have 100 snakes in my basement. Like
especially to neighbors, because God, who knows?
No,
I mean,
so do you have a personal Facebook?
Yeah.
Do I have
Yeah. So you must be on private, because I'm gonna tell you, people have found me. My son's daycare pulled up one day and they were like, "Hey, what's your son's middle name?" And I told them, and they were like, "Okay, well, we're looking on your wife's Facebook when she's super freaking private. You'd have to be an FBI agent to find up anything on her, and mine is not. I have my Facebook like that because I share my stuff to my personal page, and I want people to be able to say, "Oh, who's this on Morph Market?" You know, and they see the guy's name and they go to my Facebook and they can look at me and they can see what I share, you know, blasey blasey. And then the people at the daycare was like, then we went on looking on your page, and I was like, I don't think that I had his middle name on there. You probably just ran into a bunch of snakes. She says, yes, that we did. We did. We found a bunch of snakes, you know. And then I've literally had people at work that are like,
my personal page has pictures of my kids on it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's it. So there was a snake picture, I think, when we got Carson, our oldest, his first snake, that we got it for Christmas, and of him holding it, like when we had one, because I didn't think that made us crazy, but that was the end of the pictures. So
yeah.
So Rob says, hold on, I just missed his comment here. He says that if it wasn't for the yellow blushing on that snake, I would guess Xanthic. But going back to what Xanthic is, it's lacking red or yellow pigment, as where albinism is lacking melanin. So but I have seen some not
pastel Xanthics tend to have a little
the
yellow
pastels
to them
are yellow.
Yes.
Even like Dad is.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm just.
He would never bring you down though, Steve. He's one of your biggest fans.
He wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, this guy's a little yellow and you know.
And what's this here?
That's the pastel.
Okay, that's the dad. And he's a pastel Xanthic genetic stripe.
Yep.
Dude,
nice.
Bite him. Yeah.
Got it all up in his face.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, he's not black and white. He's definitely a yellowy browny kind of color.
Yeah.
Yes, we had a great day
too. And people were much more scared of the snakes than the Dane. She was super sweet, but I mean, she could kill you in an instant if she decided to.
Yeah.
But we had a graduation party, and some people wouldn't come to the party, family, because they couldn't handle the idea of being in our house with the snakes.
They weren't really wanting it anyways.
Yeah. It all worked out.
People joke with me all the time about my snakes in my shop, and they're my attached garage. I call it my shop, but they're like, are you locking them things up? And I'm like, look, man, you don't have to come. I don't have to put my snakes up. Like, you got to put your little dog up before I come over. But you know, it is what it is. You know, they're making them.
Only knew, I think, they work themselves into a tizzy with what this is going to look like. You got however many snakes.
Yeah.
And then the reality is that it's one wall in your shop that has some wax on it.
Making a mountain out of a mole.
We have like 150 tanks set up all over our house that our whole house is decorated in tanks or something. I'm like, it's in a room in the basement. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. People make a big deal of it, but it is what it is. Rob said he picked up 2 great ball pythons today, a dinker female and a pastel double head DG Monarch. Okay, Rob, go ahead and try to steal the show, man, with that Monarch money over there. I wish that I could afford a Monarch, but I'm going to stick with the Ultra Male. I'm Ultra Male all the way. Now, I know you all have some Ultra Male, correct? Ultra Male het pied female?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we made her, then sold off the others.
How's she doing? She growing up nicely?
You know, she's been she started out really strong, and she's been
difficult lately.
Yeah, there you go.
Difficult feeding?
Yeah.
She's watching her girly figure.
Have you all heard the good news? No. Have you all heard of Da Vinci Boa? I'm pointing over here because it's over here. I don't. So it's not working? Have you used it on it?
We didn't really have terrific results with it. But it's hard to say. Like, you go through and give it to 20 snakes. I mean, it's kind of. I'm not going to act like we've been graphing and charting stuff and writing it down and know what's what. But just my gut instinct was that I don't know. I don't feel like it did a whole lot. But
how many did you give it to, and who's?
We're probably giving it to a dozen or 15.
Okay.
How many? Anna did that, not me.
Yeah.
How many you have back on food?
Of those, I mean, probably most of them have gone back on food, but that was 3-4 months ago that we were messing with.
Let me ask you this: did you give it to them because they laid, or because they were off food like they normally should have, or did you give it to them because you've tried to get them back on food and you couldn't get them back on food?
Just because they were being problem feeders.
Okay.
1,000-gram all females, or
Gotcha.
males that weren't wanting to eat.
I've given it to 2 snakes. I'm 50-50. I had one that went back on food almost immediately and has been slamming ever since. They were both males. One was about 400 grams, and the other one's about 600 grams.
Yep.
And the OD Inchy Fire male, I desperately need him to keep eating because I have some plans for him, and if he doesn't eat, then he won't be paired.
Yep.
It's the unfortunate part of being a responsible breeder. Yeah, he can be paired because he's 700 grams. There's a lot of people who pair 400 grams, and he could probably go to 3 or 4 females and be fine all season, but he would probably be a twig at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to weigh out your morals and your integrity if you care more about pairings and, creating these combinations than you do about the snakes. And I try to put them first because they give us so much and ask for so little in return. And that's just how I feel about it. I don't try to push that on anybody, but if anybody asks me, I'll preach that to the day that I die. They require very little, and they give us so much. I'm going on vacation, and the ones that I'm stressing out about, my freaking bearded dragons, because I got to have my buddy come over here every day. Like, God, man.
But I tell you, when people are like, my kid wants a snake, I just don't know. And I'm like, dude, these are like literally the easiest. There's not another pet you can have that you don't ever need a pet sitter. Yeah. Go to Europe for a month. You don't need a pet sitter if all you have is a ball python in the house. I mean, just fill its water bowl up and come back in 30 days. It's not going to be pissed. It won't have missed you or even known you're gone.
I mean, they're pet rocks. So before we get off Axanthic too much, I want to pop this one up here real quick. You showed this to me the other day. So this is a Axanthic bumblebee. Correct me if it's a female.
Yep. Yes. It is a female.
Oh, so she's staying, right?
She's my girl, yes.
Axanthic bumblebee, and she's 100% genetic stripe.
Yep.
So this was the all gene animal, right?
That was all for
pairing?
that. Yeah.
In that pairing, awesome.
Yep.
That is a great looking snake. Can I ask you all, what do you have a direction or where you're trying to take this? Do you just want to make this with spider and genetic stripe? I don't think that I've seen that combo.
What's the genetic stripes more just because we had a chance to pick up this male and gets another recessive in play.
And we had the double het female that we bought as part of a collection. So we were like, oh, perfect. We can put him with her.
Yes. I don't know that that's really a project we've wanted in Axanthic bumblebee.
Pretty.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think that's more what that's about. We try and not have a ton of spider stuff just because, some people feel strongly about it.
Yeah, the spider haters. Does she have any wobble?
No, I don't think none of ours really. I mean,
definitely not bad at all. Yeah. If you're splitting hairs, or maybe is it like,
and you'll see her sometimes, but she's not like corkscrewing and all, all this.
And honestly, I feel like that's the majority of spiders. Like the majority of people don't have like severe wobble spiders to where it ever causes a problem for them to feed or have quality of life, So it is what it is. There's a many of people who have dogs with disabilities, and they don't bat an eye. They don't say, oh, granted, they may say we don't need to breed dogs anymore, but they're not over here bashing the dog. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
It is what it is. Spiders are a beautiful gene, if not probably the best pattern morph that there is, other than puzzle, in my opinion. I would love to have, never have seen any of these with neurological issues, but some of them do. I don't. Sometimes I feel like it's more of a lineage issue, but then again, it's there's people who talk about.
We've never hatched one that had a bad wobble.
We had one that we took in kind of like a rescue situation that was a bad wobble. And my cousin wanted a snake. She's in her 20s and took it. And if you go to her Facebook, literally every single post, the snake's name is Baby Snake, and she is watching movies with it, like holding it, like she is absolutely in love with that snake.
Yeah.
And it feeds fine. That snake has the best life ever. So,
one of the snakes that definitely got me like, this is nice. Like this got my eye, and it got me looking in the ultra male, and then it got me looking in all these different combos. Is the collider, the calico spider.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, there's something very, very special about that combination. Rob, you got it right. Snakes always come first. If they don't look good or eat, then they don't breed.
So did you not see scrolling our Facebook page that we made some calico spider stuff?
Still have any, or they all gone?
Oh, really? Colliders?
Banana. They were banana.
Okay. No, I didn't see that. Is that recently?
Yeah, that was this season. They were born in May. Yeah, we got a couple. But I'm with you. I like the colliders. And I really, I was we needed a female, so I was hoping to get a pastel calico spider.
Yeah.
And we just didn't. Yeah, here's one of the bananas.
I was wanting to put my OD Inchy Fire to my pastel calico next season. Oh, that's nice. No. So that's a banana calico spider.
Yep, we think it's pastel.
I was gonna say, is there no lesser in there?
I think it's yellow belly, but it's hard to say.
So what was the pairing on that?
It was a pastel calico yellow belly banana het clown. He's 50% het clown too. Okay. To a bumblebee.
To a what now?
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. Okay.
Yeah,
could you bring that back to the screen again? I'm gonna put y'all up solo so we can kind of see it again. There's a possibility for super pastel in there too, right?
No, I'm sorry. The male was not pastel, so he was banana calico yellow belly het clown.
Okay.
And she's bumblebee. There was only one pastel in the pairing. He wasn't pastel, so no super pastel.
Very nice looking snake.
Yeah, he's cool.
Very nice.
His brother just is on his way to Puerto Rico right now as we speak.
What? You're shipping to Puerto Rico?
Yeah, it was our first.
Wow, man! How was that experience? I mean, I freaking freaked out when I had to ship a snake to New York, man. Tell me about this. How does that?
Well, you have to have a vet health certificate.
Okay.
But luckily, a guy that we've sold a couple snakes to and gotten to be real good friends with is a vet, so he wrote that up for us.
Sweet.
But other than that, it's just shipping FedEx overnight to San Juan. They have to pick it up at the airport from Fish and Wildlife. So we can't ship it directly to them. They have to get it from Fish and Wildlife. And, there was some question about needing an import permit, which Reptiles Express has assured me that we don't need. And in the process of asking questions, we had a Puerto Rican official try and shake us down for $50.
Oh,
that's appropriate.
Dang Puerto Ricans. I can say that because I'm Puerto Rican. Yeah, man, that would have been stressful for me, man. I follow a guy, Ron, from BBM Reptiles. I don't know if you guys know him. He's in Puerto Rico, and he had a video about how he had a very stressful time about getting some snakes coming in from the U.S. So that's awesome.
It wasn't a real high dollar snake, so I figure it's a good first time here.
Right.
If something does go wrong, but Reptiles Express seemed extremely confident in exactly what we needed to include, what needed to be done, how it worked. So,
so you all prefer Reptile Express over Ship Your Reptiles? Because I'm about to switch to Reptile Express. I did a comparison quote the other day for shipping.
Yeah,
and Reptile Express blew them out of the water, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they're consistently probably 15 to 20% cheaper.
Yeah,
maybe. I feel like it's significant.
Yeah.
I feel like I have lost customers because it's almost like they don't believe that the shipping is $100, to California, and then I'm like, I'll give you a screenshot of what it is. I'm literally showing you what the shipping is off of here.
Shipping has gotten though.
It didn't used to be this bad.
Yeah, I mean, last year we could ship just about anywhere for $70. I don't know how many quotes I've given this year to where it's $90.
Man, everything's gotten like that, man. Everything's higher. There's a lot of people who's sticking true to their shipping is always 65 or shipping is always 50. I've got a blackhead mystic ringer het hypo, 100% het hypo coming from Lindsay Noble Reptiles, and it's $50. I don't know who she uses, but I should probably ask her. Rob says he's got a female lesser bee that's a great animal. Nothing wrong with spider. Agree all the way. Spiders are great eaters.
We had that female at one point.
Yeah.
She was with a collection that we bought, and then we had decided to get rid of her, and she ended up with Rob after going through another set of hands.
Yeah. I missed some comments here. I'm gonna try to go back. I think this may be Marty. Killing it with the talks, bro. I appreciate that. Brianna Mullins, she was talking about having a 150-pound Great Dane. Thanks for joining in tonight. GP Snakes has a comment for you all, and with almost having 100 snakes, you probably can't list them all off in a reasonable amount of time. But what morphs do you guys work with? I guess what are your main projects or main morphs that you like to work with?
Exantic. He's got a lot of Desert Ghost stuff. We've got hey buddy. As far as recessives, I mean, we have Pied, Clown, Exantic, DG. We've got hypo stuff. We've got I don't know. We have a lot of stuff with 100+ snakes. Working on making some urban camos this year, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Very nice. Very nice.
So yeah, I don't a little bit of everything. He's really into blackhead. He's got quite a bit of that. So
speaking of blackhead, is this animal right here a blackhead?
Yes.
What are we looking at here?
Hang on one sec. He's better at that than I am.
This is very nice here. Very nice animal.
That's the blackhead cinnamon. So she's blackhead cinnamon.
Blackhead and cinnamon. Very nice. Also took another picture here from you all. Wanted to know what this is here. Is that an inchy hypo?
That's Palmer. He is inchy leopard yellow belly pied.
Very nice. Very bright. So I almost thought that was an ultramale pied at first.
No, inchy leopard yellow belly. Where'd you get we have cold Diet Cokes?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Said water.
I know, but I didn't know he was Diet Cokes. I'm sorry. He got me.
It's fine.
Yeah, diet. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
I wish I had a cold Pepsi right now. Hopefully my wife's watching. I'll get one of those magically appear in the screen.
If somebody's listening.
Yeah. She's my number one fan. I can almost guarantee you she's watching. Let's go back here. I had somebody jump in. Lekka, how's it going? Rob said that's why he brought her up. I knew you remember that animal. So this is one I wanted to ask you. GP Gershon just said he just got into DG. Do you all have any DG?
We've got one pastel DG male, and then we've got
some het girls.
We got some het Desert Ghost females, and we made some double het Exantic DG stuff last year. That's growing up.
My wife just texted me. I told you she's my number one fan. She said she's in the tub. Listen, she's in the tub. She's hardcore fanning it, but she got it. All right, I'm telling you. Rob says blackhead is definitely something I want to add, and more likely will do so this year.
He had a picture of the blackhead cinnamon girl.
Oh yeah. I'll bring him. Pop him back up. This one right here. I really like that. That's nice.
Which we saw. What was that they posted? A dark matter. Somebody had posted on Instagram.
Oh really?
It's like a gray matter, except it was like solid black and white. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. I seen that. Kind of looked like a panda pied. It looked like a panda pied.
Yes, it was awesome.
Yeah,
and I was like,
really nice.
I want this. And he was like, we have a cinnamon. Give me a drink of that. We have a cinnamon blackhead girl. You can get there. And I was like, oh.
So it's super blackhead or super cinnamon with blackhead or cinnamon blackhead?
Super cinnamon with blackhead.
It's super champagne. Cinnamon. I think it was super blackhead. I think it was super blackhead, super cinnamon champagne.
Oh, well, that's cool. Then we'll get there in 20 years.
Shut up.
So it's both. It's a double super?
I think it was. I think it was just blackhead. I could be wrong, though. I don't know.
I'm having a brain fart.
Hatched a sweet blackhead clutch too, Rob. So,
yeah,
I'll shoot you some pictures if I didn't already. So we got some blackheads will be available.
You got me thinking. How many people do you know with double supers?
Double supers?
Yeah, like super pastel, super chocolate.
I just saw what it was.
Our dwarf retic that passed away was a super tiger.
She was from a Partha clutch.
She was a double. She was a double recessive super tiger. So she was essentially 3 supers.
Wow.
Super.
But you know.
Wow.
The reason she had heart problems.
Where is that? So let's see.
We got Blackhead Mystic, Rob, right now.
You have Blackhead Mystic?
We just hatched some blackhead mystics.
Oh, any female? Well, they literally just hatched. Or are they out?
Yeah,
Do you know
they
sex?
still got their egg skits on. They came out 2 days ago.
When you sex them, and if you let go of any females,
Blackhead yellow belly, blackhead mystic yellow belly is pretty sweet.
I need that for my highway project, man. I want a freaking highway of everything. I want to have a red highway and a yellow highway and a orange dream highway, ultramel highway. I want it all. That is my logo snake. I need it all.
Maybe we gotta put him back here under the light.
Can you see that at all?
Hold on, let me put you up solo dolo here. Oh yeah, that's very nice.
So that's blackhead mystic yellow belly.
Nice.
This is weird. I need these cameras to work this way. We don't do that stuff.
Yeah, no, we're just not that cool.
Yeah, so that one's a male. He's pretty cool.
It's not just you guys, trust me. I tried to show off some snakes, and I have like 2 freaking studio lights going, and sometimes it's like too much, and it's still it just doesn't show. I think you just have to have like. I think you just have to have like a actual camera filming you to get some real good. Now, I will tell you this. I meant to tell you before we started this. Take a cloth real quick and wipe your camera on your computer.
Is it looking a little fuzzy?
Yeah. A little bit, but not too bad. But I'm gonna tell you. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's just this LED light back here.
Yeah.
Well, and then we thought we were in the shadows. And then we tried to move it, so we were. Yeah. Yeah.
GP got me on that, man. We were backstage one time and he was like, "Have you wiped your camera off?" And it looked like I was recording with a vintage camera, and I wiped it, and then boom, it was like how it is now. And I was like, "Oh my god!"
I think it's more that we just didn't put a lot of thought into where we set up in here. So
we could turn. Yeah, I don't know.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Rob says the blackhead leopard stuff is crazy. Blackhead ringer gene, red gene, hypo is too. Agreed. Not really where I'm taking my blackhead mystic hypo, but I do. He has a question.
Blackhead mystic head hypo.
I have one coming from Lindsay Noble Reptiles.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, he'll be here in a few weeks. A male. Yep. He's a blackhead mystic ringer. I don't know much about the ringer. If it's the ringer gene or ringer, or if that's. Is that just a paradox? I mean, the gene itself on Morphmark kind of shows up as black or gray.
I think it's kind of like Desert Ghost and Cryptic, like they kind of come in together and tend to run together.
It says it's a blackhead matter, possible super blackhead.
Okay, you showing a picture of that?
That was not the best. Here's one, and maybe can't make it bigger. But I don't know.
You should be able to put it up to the camera. Oh yeah, that's the one I seen. Yep.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Pretty cool.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's what he said it was.
Rob says how much he wants that snake.
Yeah, me too. It's not mine. I just want
No. I think he's talking about the one that you.
Oh, I was like, yeah, me too. So how much?
I'll shoot you a message, Rob.
Blackhead lavender albino clown. Nice. That'd be nice.
Gershon loves the albino clown project, and he's gonna hit an albino clown this year. We're speaking it into existence. He's been after it for a while. I love the so the Grail is that lavender albino clown?
Yes.
Okay. So you want a blackhead lavender albino or blackhead Grail, pretty much, is what you're after, Gershon. Is that right? I think I was watching a video on YouTube earlier today while I was driving. I'm a travel and maintenance technician, and let me rephrase that. I was listening to the video. I wasn't watching it. Let's be safe, folks. I was listening to it. Don't want nobody commenting on her, man. That's so unsafe. But anyway, I was listening to it, and the guy made a lot of sense. You know, his video was kind of like a little dry, but he was one of those guys that like almost too smart not to listen to, and he was kind of coming up with the ways that people will think when they're trying to predict how these combos will look. And his combination was 2 pattern morphs with a color enhancing morph, and pushing it into your recessive project is kind of the ideal. I don't want to mess that word up. The way that you're thinking to get to create something like Justin Kabelka's creating, and he creates this freaking snake, and we call it a freaking what's the one that he just made, like the Krakens, right? He had no idea how that thing was going to look, but it's a kind of a formula that, some of the breeders are starting to think about. And it made a lot of sense. So I started thinking about some of the things, and just that combo with the lavender albino clown and putting, blackhead and leopard, man. Cuddle Time Critter says, I'm thinking about selling my lavender female and pied I think you meant 66% het lavender, albino. Cool. So we have been talking, and I have gotten off questions, but that's all right. That's how these go. One I wanted to ask, I have two here that I need to ask, and they are pertinent to this podcast. Is what are some common husbandry or feeding or keeping mistakes that you come across in inexperienced keepers and or breeders? And this is not to bash anyone. This is to be helpful. We want you guys, anybody who's watching this, who may be making some of these mistakes, do not feel bad if you feel like you're in the back row at the pew at church and the pastor's speaking directly to you. This is not to make you feel bad. We're here to help you, and we want you to be able to get to the next level. And this is why I ask these questions to different breeders, and different breeders are going to have different answers altogether. But what would you all say that some of those things are?
I'd say one of the things, like at least if it's just somebody having a pet, like if they just have like one or two have a pet, is they'll have too large of an enclosure. Like we'll get people that want to buy a hatchling and they're like, I have a 175-gallon tank I'm going to put it in. It's going to be so happy. And I'm like, no, it's not actually. But so that's one that I think we hear.
Yeah, that's a big one.
A big one, like more like just pets, people having pets.
Do you have a lot of people who feel like they have went to PetSmart and they know more than you?
PetSmart.
Yeah, they are PetSmart. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they it happens, and it's unfortunate. I love it when I'm able to catch people before they get there, because you're able to get in front of that wall before they put it up. I talked about this in my last podcast. PetSmart literally has a brochure that will teach you almost everything on how to not take care of your snake correctly, and it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And for that matter, I can't say that I've never kept a king snake or a sand boa or a lot of colubrids, but I can't trust that they know how to take care of those correctly. Because honestly, like we were saying earlier, it is really hard to they are really hardy creatures. Ball pythons are like, man, it is hard to mess them up. And people do all the time, and it's mainly because they feel like they know they're doing the right thing, and they're not, because they've been told wrong. Because when somebody says something to them, they tell them, they take that as the law, and that is it. Same thing like feeding inside and outside the enclosure. I can imagine that you all don't take all 100 snakes out and put them in a little tub and wait for it to catch to take the frozen thawed or even the live if you have it, and then put it back up. Because it's unnecessary. Not that it's wrong, it's just unnecessary. Right. And so I tell people all the time, it's like, I'm not going to tell you what the law and what the rule is. There's 100 different ways of doing it right, but there are a lot of ways to do it wrong too. But feeding outside the enclosure is unnecessary. It's very unnecessary.
The key is just watching and reading your snake. Yep. Like you said, it'll tell you.
Yep.
We even had someone at the show this weekend that they were buying a snake, and they had like a 40-gallon tank or something, and they were going to put it in there. Do you think it'll be okay? And it's like, I don't know. It's probably not going to be its favorite place, but if you put enough hides in there and you put cover in there, and I don't know. Yeah. I mean, if a week from now it's like striking at you every time you go in there and it's refusing to eat, then it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like you said.
But I can't tell you it's not going to work.
Yeah, you have people that get a 45-gallon tank or a 100-gallon tank or whatever the case may be, and they think that their snake's going to be happy in it. It's not that it won't be happy, because if you put enough hides and you have enough cover to where you literally can't see that snake, and it can move from one end of that 10-foot glass tank to the other end of that 10-foot glass tank, then it probably will do okay. But it's unnecessary. I tell people all the time. We have someone, I believe it was Brianna. I believe I was talking to her, and we were talking about, she was asking me, excuse me if I'm wrong, Brianna, it wasn't your conversation, but I had quite a few conversations like this with people, and all of this evolved from me posting that I have feeder rats back in stock, that I have a overflow and I have feeder rats to sell. And I actually rolled over into meeting some new customers, some new clientele base, and people who wanted to come check out what I have going on, the hatchlings and blasey. But she was saying that she wanted to get a enclosure, which is wonderful because people who have very few animals, they want to see them on display. Nothing wrong with it. And she has other snakes, so she knows that, you know, I have to get a certain size for a ball python and have to get all this clutter and make sure that they're comfortable so that they can eat, and, you know, a whole nine. She had no problems with understanding what they need, because like I said, she has other snakes and they're all great. And I know plenty of people who have ball pythons in PVC enclosures and they do good. You just have to make sure that they are comfortable and that they're not going to feel out in the open, or they won't eat. They literally will feel, you know, like there's something out of place here. But rack systems, I feel like that is the ball python go-to. I'm sorry, people can say that, you know, they don't have to be in rack systems, but I feel like if you want to deal with less issues, less feeding issues, less shedding issues, less all around issues, just get a rack system. If you want to see them, get them out, you know? And that's just how I feel about it. Everybody, you know, is kind of entitled to their own opinion. And did you all start with rack systems, or did you kind of start with some glass tanks? Because I started with a 55. I was that person, Allison. I had a 55-gallon tank, no hide. I had a red heat lamp on one side, always on, no thermostat, aspen bedding. I mean, it was awful.
Cook that thing and
yeah. Oh well,
yeah.
It was completely fine. Is the thing. It never missed a meal. And that's what I tell people. They're individuals. You get lucky. Yep. You may get lucky, but I don't want to sell you that snake that you feel like
you're more likely to fail with that.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that you're going to.
Your chances of it not eating are
drunk. You can drive home drunk and not get a ticket and not get in an accident, but it's not a great idea.
Exactly.
So we had a tank for our very first one, like a 10-gallon tank. It was truly it was a little hatchling, had like a 10-gallon tank with hides and whatever.
And she tried to bite us constantly and wouldn't eat. So
yeah, and,
go figure.
Yeah, but even when we moved her to,
she still wouldn't eat.
Even when you moved her to Iraq, she still tried to bite you constantly and wouldn't eat. And a guy that's bought several snakes from us and has become a friend of ours bought her, and we kind of warned him, and he says she's still mean and doesn't eat great. Like that's just her temperament. So, but we went to Iraq within like our second or third snake. I mean, she had Homer in her room for like a few weeks while you were building the rack, but we went to Iraq pretty much immediately. Once we went to more than one, we went to Iraq. And even people get these tanks and they have these beautiful setups and tanks. And for some reptiles, that's great to be able to see them. But if you put a couple of hides in there, which you need to make the snake comfortable, that snake's going to spend 95% of its life in the hide anyway. And you're just going to be looking at an empty tank in essence. Like you don't really get to appreciate them anyway. That's not the way.
That's what I told the guy the other day with the 40-gallon that was putting the hatchling in it. It said, you put all that cover in there, the tank's it's going to look no different with the animal in it than it does now. It's like you're going to see the exact same thing. Maybe at night you'll come out and see the snake cruising around a little every once in a while, but
there are a lot of reptiles that are like that. I mean, it's every time I have people who come in here and they're like, "What's in this?" I never see anything out, and I'm like, it's my tegu. She's out for like the first 4 hours of the day. If you're here in the afternoon, you're not going to see her. I don't know. She just likes to burrow. She's got several inches, about 6 inches of a peat moss sand soil mix, and she will burrow underneath her hide and stay underneath there. After she's eaten and basked for a little while, she's gone. My retic, he's in his hide always. The only ones that ever stay out are the berm and the boas. For the most part, you'll see most of them out most of the day. And I have all of my animals that I have no problem with ever eating that in enclosures. Like I get that. Like people, probably think that I just want it just for space and convenience, but it's more of keeping the animal happy and being able to keep your animals with little to no issues.
Yeah, our 8-year-old wanted one. He's like, "Can I have a snake that's my snake and put it in my room?" Of course, every hatchling we hatch. Can that be my hatchling? Yes.
Right.
Rat. Can that be my rat? Yes, of course. but he wanted one in his room. And our I think it was like our third snake that we got, Joker. He was the snake that got me over my fear of snakes, and he was like my buddy and my favorite snake. And we have no breeding plans for him, so Steve has pushed that he needs to go because he takes up a tub. But he is my baby. He is the reason all of this exists. He is what got me over my fear. And so we had an extra 40 long that the retic had been in, and we told Oliver that we're like, we'll put Joker up in your room. That's fine. And he wouldn't eat up there. He just would not eat. So we had to move him back down here, and it took him probably 6 weeks or so being back in Iraq, and now he's back on food like crazy. But I was like, we tried, buddy. He just wasn't happy up there.
Yeah.
You know?
What would be the temperature difference as far as ambient goes in his room compared to down there? Is it about 70 in his room ambient?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that, that's one thing that I tell people, and some people wonder why we ask these questions when we get they're like, oh, well, why isn't my snake eating? And then we're like, well, answer some questions first. And then, all of that matters, you know what I mean? And ultimately, after weeks or, even months, who knows? He probably could have gotten that snake to eat, whether it's coercion with the mice or whatever the case may be. The snake probably would have adapted, but going back to what you said, you bring him right back to the setup that you had him in, and he gets back on food, and the snake is telling you that I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's and he's just got a really chill temperament, so we're like, we'll give it a try. If he doesn't mind being there and he eats, then fine, he can be there. But we had to just tell him, that's not what's best for him, and if you love him, he needs to be down here where he's happy, and you can come get him out when you want.
It's hard to get kids, you got to depend on them to actually latch the doors back close and stuff. And
Joker did hang out in the linen closet for a couple of weeks.
My room service came.
Oh, you got your drink?
Yeah.
I got my room service.
Yeah, so he got out at one point up there and disappeared for like a week or two. And I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was like he'll turn up, and I don't know. It was kind of fun because we got a teenage daughter too who doesn't like the snakes. So it's like she'd have friends over, like, hey, if you see Joker crawling around, just let us know.
Or like if you see him, holler at us. It's just Joker. It's okay.
Our friends go, y'all serious?
We're like, yeah. And then finally it had been like a week. We kept thinking he'd just show up. We looked really good that first day, and then we're like, he'll turn up. And it'd been like a week, and I was like, okay, we've really got to find Joker. And we found him. He was in the linen closet across the hall, between two comforters, snuggled in a dark, warm place, and was like, hey.
So a little tip for all the viewers: if you ever have a snake that gets lost, and I don't know if you all have seen this, I recently watched a video, and the guy, it was an idea, and it was genius in my opinion. He put a hide almost not too far away from the wall, but kind of in the middle of the room, and he did it in another room, and he had a heat lamp over top of that hide, and it was if you have. I guess it really depends on if there are more warm areas where the snake can seek refuge. And you found him in the linen closet, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, in between blankets. So he was warm and dark and tight and and whatever. Yeah.
So, but this guy had a concrete floor. So, if you have if it's in your house and you can make a more warm area for it to kind of see those thermals, maybe that would work for you. Just a tip that I'm throwing out there that I've seen.
No, that's they definitely go for the heat. I mean, anytime we have a hatchling get out in here, and it's not like we have them out all the time, but a couple times a year we'll have a hatchling get out of one of the hatchling tubs because we didn't close it all the way or something. And every single time you find them sitting in the back of a rack on top of the heat tape.
Yeah.
Clockwork. It's only a matter of which rack are they in.
Yep.
But they're always sitting
the
on the
racks
heat.
apart.
So.
Yeah. Rob says that he bought the first one he bought was a full-grown adult and was in a 20-gallon long. So people we grow. We not everybody starts out doing everything right, but it's about making the steps of progress to getting it to where it should be, and never feeling like you're doing it the best way possible, because you can always learn something. And that's what I kind of one of the objectives with this is I want to learn something every podcast. I want some of the viewers to learn something every podcast. And if the guests can learn something every podcast, then I've exceeded all my goals for it. Rob says that you guys he loves, it was great to see you and love that you're killing it. You're making Kentucky proud and Kentucky bourbon too. BJ says that had a good show. He is out. Good night, fellas and ladies. BJ, it's like 9:30, man. It's
Dude, I've been yawning. My first yawn came at 8:56.
This is 30 minutes past his bedtime. Yeah.
So I won't drag it on too long. April says we started in aquariums, now waiting on ARS, and yes, they are.
You will not regret the ARS.
Absolutely. All right. Last question I got is what tools or resources can you recommend for anyone wanting to expand their knowledge on reptile keeping, ball python breeding, all around? What tools or resources would you all recommend?
Facebook groups, especially the ones that have like a million rules about everything that you can and can't do.
Yeah, that's
look for the ones that say we'll kick you out if we see a cut egg, or we're going to kick you out if you recommend taking your snake out of the enclosure to feed.
The non-judgmental, judgmentalist can be groups.
That's right. Yes. That's right.
Those are the ones you want to learn everything from. We're picking, folks. We're picking.
No, I mean, the best resource is just you're buying snakes from someone, just talk to them. I mean, most people that are breeding snakes are more than happy to talk to snakes all day long.
That's kind of what we did. We bought a couple of snakes from a breeder and just kind of made him our mentor, whether he wanted to be or not, a little bit, and anytime we had a question, that's where we went.
Yep. Mike Bryant down at the Snake Lab. That's our.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Our guy.
I've not met Mike personally, but
awesome.
He's not that great. I mean, he's okay.
I've been a follower of his for a while and definitely a fan. I think definitely has some good stuff. I need to get linked up with him one time. I'm a big fan of you guys' stuff. I think that, like I said, I love everything from the logo to how you guys present, your stuff on social media. And, I mean, shoot, man, one of the first times I ever met you, Steve, we were getting some cocoa together, and you want to talk about a great guy. I told him I was vending the show, and man, I don't have no displays. Well, I got displays. You want to borrow them? I think that goes with a grain of salt, that he's not just going to lend his displays out to any one of you guys. You definitely have to be able to, prove that you're worthy enough to get that. But still, man, that's awesome. And I thought that was awesome. And I was able to go walk in there like I knew what I was doing. And, I had a little bit of it going on. And I greatly appreciated.
And she was pretty much like you did what?
I was like,
you gave her
what? No, he's a really nice guy. I was like,
let me look at the Ring doorbell so I can get a picture of his face in case it ever comes off. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Once we have a good relationship with someone, and not to make it sound that way, like I'll give anybody anything I have and help anybody. But I was like, he's like, yeah, I gave him to this guy. And I was like, what guy? Like, who is this guy? Like, what? So,
there's nothing wrong with it. It's sad that we have to live in a day where we kind of have to watch our back, because most people, especially the generation, that before, like as far as my grandparents go, you never locked doors. You know what I mean? You didn't. Yeah. I grew up to where I could go 9 miles down the road and say, hey, can you take me to my grandma's house? And they'd be like, oh, you're so-and-so. Yeah, I'll take you down there. And now I'm like, I tell my kids, like, look, do not go out of the cul-de-sac. If somebody pulls up and says, how you doing? Tell them I'm stranger danger. We don't talk, and it's sad. But, I think that
it all worked out.
Yeah, I think for the majority of the reptile community, most people mean well. There are definitely a bunch of snakes among the snakes, which is, a play on words.
Like there. That's not just the reptile community.
Yeah, for sure.
Just human nature, yeah.
April says she appreciates me, Kano, and John Chosmer. You all interacted much with John? Y'all close to him at all?
We talked to John some. I mean, they run the Sin City show and the Lexington show.
Yeah. I always get the coolest vibe for him, man. He came up to me when I've ended up there, and I was just like coolness coming off of him, like.
Yeah, he's got nice stuff. I mean, as far as boas, I've never seen anyone with boa stuff like he has. But no, John seems like a real good guy. We don't know him that well, but I don't have anything bad to say about the guy. Never heard anything bad about him, and he seems to do business the right way. So
for sure. Yeah, April and her husband Marty are pretty good friends with him, and he's kind of mentored them. And this is kind of what you guys would need to do if you really wanted to go all in. I have a couple people that have jumped on here. That and it's kind of like a chain, now that I'm looking at it, it's funny because Rob hopped on here and I've leaned on Rob and I've kind of, talked with you and even, GP and different people on here, kind of ask them questions. And then I have people on here that, are like thanking me because they've asked me questions, and it ends up being a chain of, kind of information going down the ladder or up the ladder, whatever the case may be, of people helping each other out. And that's what's great about the reptile hobby. As long as you get with the right crowd. Same thing, when you're, as far as your friends go, the wrong crowd will bring you down. Same thing as far as having the wrong breeders or people in your corner telling you the wrong thing. They'll bring you down. Because unfortunately, there are people who don't want to see you succeed in this industry or another or in life.
I think they're far and few between, but they are out there.
Yeah. For sure. All right, so I've got some quick questions. I call them cold seat questions. Basically, I'm gonna give you some options, and you just tell me either or you can opt to not answer the question.
That's not fun.
It's there. I mean, there's simple, like hisser, belly heat or back heat.
Belly heat, yeah.
Belly heat.
But I don't know. We've had back heat before, and it works fine too.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like back heat for me has caused some issues with like fluctuation of temperature within adults. I use back heat on the hatchlings, but I have transitioned all away from back heat on the adults, and I don't know if I'm really spot on with that, because I know plenty of people who have bred.
Our mentor knows about back heat. So
really, did you know Gary? He does back heat. Mm-hmm. Are you talking about Mike?
Yeah.
Did you know Gary Smith? That when I first met him, he had a wall of. He actually built. Oh, wrong way. He actually built this rack right here, and all of his racks were just like that, back heat. Melamine, and I was talking to him. Yeah, man, I cannot wait to get an ARS, and he's like, man, I can fit 5 of these that are 12 high in the space that I can fit one ARS, and the space is not worth buying ARS. He's like, the money's not worth it, this and that. I disagree now, but at the same time, he had been breeding for like 4 or 5 years at that point and had produced. I got a black pastel fire Xanthic female, which was the world's first in 2018 that he produced. He showed me some stuff that was just incredible. I think we talked about it when I was down there. Yeah. Guy had some fire stuff and bred all out of melamine racks with back heat. So it does work.
We've seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's some truth to what he's saying. Like, and especially when I look at the 10 series ARS. I mean, I could take these little FB5 hatchling tubs and probably get 250 of them in the same space. I could get a 70 tub ARS hatchling rack. I mean,
so live or frozen? I think you said frozen.
We're working on switching to frozen.
Okay. And you
just because I don't want all the rats in my house.
Trust me, I understand. I had 3 rat racks.
Part of it's not fun. The rats are okay, but it's it's work. I mean, Rob signed off to go clean rats tonight or whatever. It's
that's what I did last night.
Yeah.
It's a 3 to 4 hour journey for me and my partner, man. Gary, he was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's on here anymore, but it's a when you get to as many snakes as we have, I'm not up to 100 yet. I'm at around 70, 75. I don't know how I could buy frozen. I just haven't gotten to that level of in the business of, being able to sell that many hatchlings to have a, say, oh, well, our monthly rat bill is $400. I would freak out, man. And honestly, my rats pay for themselves. I don't sell them enough to make any money off of them anymore, but they pay for themselves.
You're killing me. These are all the arguments he's giving me. You're killing me here. Like, I'm trying to get
But I mean, there is a certain point where you're just, there's a certain point to where you're producing enough snakes and enough income from them that you can just decide, you know what? If it costs us $7, $8, $9 a year to buy the rats, we can do it.
And that's what I tell people is like, when I there are certain people who like cry about, saying my smalls are $3, and they're like, when did rats get so expensive? When I had my ball python 5 years ago, I could go and get a rat for $1.50 or whatever. And I'm like, look, do you have to deal with the smell? Do you have to get out there and clean rats, and then you have to walk past your son because you don't want to touch them because you've been cleaning rats, and you got to go take a shower first before you can kiss your baby? You know what I mean? You're not doing this stuff. Don't complain about $3. Spend it and then feed your snake.
Well, feel free to breed your own rats if it's so
exactly. My buddy Chess, he feeds all of his snakes frozen thawed. And he's got a little bit of everything. He's a keeper, not a breeder. But he is in the same boat of, not wanting to breed rats for the smell, but he never complains about having to drive across town to go get his feeders or order from Rodent Pro or, order from here. And I think that's how I would be too if I didn't have to deal with that. And like you said, if we could make it to where we just spend a couple grand once a year, stock up a deep freeze and vacuum seal them, whatever the case may be, and feed off frozen thawed, that would be ideal. But I'm not there yet. And, I understand if it takes you guys a while to get there, if you never get there. For me, I also do like the it makes relationships, right? I'm telling you, I've literally sold a snake right after somebody coming to buy rats.
Yeah.
They came for a $3 rat and they left for the $300 snake. It opens doors. So
that's true.
It's not all bad.
No, it isn't. It's just we just hit a point where
really big. Like we had a lot too. Like there were just a lot of rats. Like we were drowning in them. So I think even if we can get I've gotten probably just in the last month, I've really started working on getting them on frozen thawed and probably have about 60% of the collection switched over. I mean, even if we can get 80% of the collection switched over and we just have to keep a few rats, you know what I mean? It's just, it was too much. If we had a separate building or something, it would be one thing, but it's just.
What I have started to try to do is my grow outs, I try to offer them all fresh killed rats, because the idea can't talk tonight behind how I want to run Morph Nation is when I grow up my grow outs, they replace breeders. I mean, pretty much everybody uses this, right? Yeah. They replace your breeders. So if you're doing your grow outs and making them on frozen thawed, then eventually maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, everything you'll have will be on frozen thawed.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I would like to be, but still have to be at that level of being able to buy all those feeders. Okay. Yep. So buy hets or make your own, or both?
Depends. Both.
Yeah, I think it depends.
Both.
I'm perfectly fine buying them.
Yeah.
From someone that I trust and someone that has a reputation to they're not going to submarine their reputation to sell you a het that's not going to prove out.
Yeah, definitely goes back to putting your name out there. If you're just popped on the scene, nobody knows you, and they can't go back and look at what you have, it's going to be a hard push if you're selling a het monarch, or het this or whatever the case may be. So, it
depends on the cost of that het too. If it's one that's going to cost us a fortune to buy, but we have the stuff here to make it, then
a chocolate het clown that's going to cost you $1,000. Well, we got a chocolate male. We can put the clown female, make them ourselves.
Yep.
Sell a few of them, keep a few of them, and call it a day.
But at the same time, I mean, people who are like, I want to make my own hets. I don't want to buy from anyone else. Well, hets aren't the easiest things to sell.
No.
Reason too. No. So then it's like, if you're going to make your own hets, are you going to keep all 7, 8, 9 of them or whatever you get in the clutch?
Yep.
Because for my money, I can take that visual pod female and do something else with her, and produce a $4,000 or $5,000 clutch, and I'll go buy whatever het I want.
Yeah. And when it comes to hets, like making hets too, I don't like making anything other than 100% hets. If I'm shooting for a het, especially like a double het, like I've got an ultra male going to a pastel hypo female, 100% hets, right? Nothing wrong with somebody who pairs a 100% het to something that's not visual, right, or a 66% het to something that was not visual, or it was a het too and didn't prove out, but it's just, I feel like that's a lot of time lying on something that could not be hit, you know, at the end of that 4 years or whatever it took.
Yeah.
GP says that his wife said no to breeding rats, so frozen is his go-to. He wants to know, do you all have a number on how much you spend for bedding and food for your rats? And this may not be
Bedding
a
and
great
food for
question.
our rats, I would guess we spend $80 a week. If that.
$80 a week. Roughly how many rats do you think that you have breeding?
We don't have as many right now, but I would say at one point we probably had.
I think it might be a little more than that a week.
I would say at one point we probably about 110, 115 females breeding rats.
Okay.
Adult females that were breeders.
Running 1.4 colonies or?
Not really. I mean, we were running breeding colonies, but when they're pregnant, we pull them out.
Cool.
You've seen our setup.
Yeah.
We move them to the maternity rack and then move them into nursing bins.
You and Mike changed my opinion on that, man, and I switched over to maternity bins, and I have produced more. That is how I've never produced over 80 in a week. Last week I weaned out 249. It blew my mind. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is definitely in the pudding, man. It helped. I don't spend that much. I don't know. I want to say.
I think it's more.
I think it's more.
I think it's.
Let's see, 20 tubs.
Okay.
I've probably got around 80 to 100 breeding females, and only one male. 25 tubs or so, 26 tubs. And I probably spend, I don't know, man, probably like less than 50 a week, less than 40 a week between the bedding. Yeah. But what you have to realize too is that I also buy and sell.
You're buying your feed by the pallet. Yeah.
So that cuts out some of my feed cost. And then I also, do you guys sell rats at all?
Every once in a while, but not very often.
If we're drowning in them, we will. It's,
Yeah, for sure.
We'll sell live ones to good friends.
People that.
But in general, if we're going to sell them, we just sell frozen thawed because I don't like having to mess with transfer from bin to bin and all that. It's just a pain in the butt.
For sure.
I let Kano can do that. That's I send anybody who's looking for live his way.
Kano's got the insane man number of rat breeding. Like what I would sell in rat food, he'd literally use in 2 weeks. And I'm like, man, how are you going through that much? And he's talking about thousands of breeders, okay? But he's on another level. There's no doubt about that. So paper or cocoa?
Cocoa.
Cocoa all the way. Even for your hatchlings?
Yeah.
I do paper at first. This is a tip I learned from Justin Cabelco watching his videos, not him personally. He didn't. You've seen it, right? Idea. Yeah. So this gives me wiggle room. And I don't know, kind of interactions, and it forces me to come down and take pictures of, the ones that, I need to update pictures on Morph Market or whatever the case may be. Next question, quality or quantity? This is kind of a given most times.
Yeah, quality. Quality is good too. Can I get a lot of the quality stuff?
Yeah.
Can I get
both, please?
There you go. Some quantity.
Yeah.
A lot of quantity of quality.
We want a whole lot of quality.
So I know you said that you have a vet that's a friend of yours, but for most common ailments that we feel like we can take care of ourselves, do you just immediately, if I got an RI or if I got this or that, you just immediately take to the vet, or do you do your own research and try to see if you can take care of that before we
take it to the vet?
Take it to the vet.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're dealing with the kind of animals these kind of animals. Yeah. I mean, what, $65 to see a vet, even if we go to the vet that's closest to us here that has extended hours. I mean,
yeah.
And we've gone to the vet before and not needed to, but it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. I have had a lot of people who have raved about certain vets. Marty and April, they took their egg-bound female to the vet, and thank God that they did, because she never would have passed that egg. It was just too massive. And she was in and out, no problem. I've also had some bad instances with the vets. Yeah. I'm not anti-vet or pro-vet. I just feel like it's situational. There are some certain things that I don't feel like I need to take it to the vet. And that's kind of why I put that question there. I just want to get, feels for everybody. I have treated for RI. There's a lot of people who feel like you shouldn't treat for RI if you don't know what strain of RI it is, and I understand that. But the question is really a personal preference, and it boils down to what you feel like you would want to do, and at the end of the day, what is the severity of the animal's condition. Unfortunately, sometimes we can't always see, like they of course can't tell us that they're feeling this way, or that I feel certain symptoms or whatever you might have it. But it's one of those things where, like, you don't want to wait too long. You don't want to make the wrong decision. So take it to the vet off, to make sure and just, get it out of the way and eliminate that is never the wrong way to go. I definitely want people to know that I'm not, the vet's definitely,
I think the best way to go, but I think it's just like doctors with your kids. Not everything they say is gospel, and you've got to use your own head too.
Exactly.
But I think it's a good place to start.
Exactly. Well, man, that's the end of my questions. Did you guys have anything that you wanted to add in? It's kind of like a free talk moment. Anything we might have touched on, or that you might have wanted to go back and add in?
No,
I'm good.
No, ready for bed?
Yeah,
it's only hour and 56. Only an hour and 56 minutes this week. We went overboard last week. Me and Gershon, we just kept talking and talking and talking. But like I've said before, and I'll say every time, my wife doesn't expect to see me until tomorrow. She knows when I'm talking snakes that it's gonna be a while. She just watches me through the screen and she wants to see me. But all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you, Allison and Steve, for coming on
Thanks
to
for having us.
the podcast. Absolutely. And answering all of the watchers, viewers' questions, and answering my questions. This has been a Cold Blooded Talks podcast. Next week, I have a special for you all. I won't be going live. I'll be on vacation, but I'm going to try to pre-record the live broadcast, or just pre-record the video. TRP Inc. Exotics. Have you all heard of them? Do you know who Thomas Pipkin is? This guy has some insane stuff in his collection, and he's kind of like Mike in the sense of he has a lot of stuff, and not people don't really understand or know the power of what he has going on. So I'm really excited about going to this guy's facility, and he's local here close to Lexington, and seeing what he's got going on, talking to him and his daughter. He actually started the business for his daughter to take over eventually, and he's kind of setting her up to be able to be in a good position when she's ready to kind of step into the light of running the business. And it's a great thing. I love it. So again, I thank you all. Thank you, Allison and Steve, for joining us, and thank everybody watching. You all have a great night, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, man.
Night.
No problem.